Shocker? I don't even know her! Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, posability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. Today, we're taking a look at the new Marvel Legends retro card Shocker. Starting off the packaging, and it's one of those animated series Toy Biz style retro cards. Spider-Man logo up there, Shocker there, Vibro shock gauntlets, and instructions and a bio on the back. Shocker's Vibro units allow him to blast through solid metal or hurl long-range vibrational punches. They've yet to help him defeat his eternal nemesis, the amazing Spider-Man. Other figures in the wave include the Spider Armor Mark I, Marvel's Hammerhead, the Symbiote Spider-Man, Hobgoblin, and Ben Riley. And for those who want it, here's the UPC. I just want to take a moment to redirect your attention to the artwork, specifically that the quilt pattern on his costume is not depicted as having any kind of black outline. So that way, if there's no black outlining on the figure, we should definitely not be disappointed in any way. All joking aside, it's really hard for my inner 12-year-old to see this card and not get excited. For packaging, I'm giving Shocker 1 whole point. Moving on to presentation, and I'm disappointed that the black lines aren't painted in. Look, I know that it's a weird, pedantic thing to care so much about, but Shocker is actually one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. When I think back to Spider-Man cartoons and comic books from when I was a really little kid just discovering the character, Shocker is the first villain that I remember. I always loved the costume because I thought of it as a weird, evil, opposite version of Spider-Man. Spidey has a blue and red costume covered in web lines, and Shocker has a yellow costume covered in diamond lines. In my 5-year-old brain, they were pretty much opposites. And I say all of this understanding that some artists have interpreted him without them. I see this figure and there is so much to love. The fact that the lines are etched in is because this is a 100% all-new sculpt. And not only did they etch in the lines on the yellow parts, they even gave a leathery texture to the brown parts. There was a time not that long ago where this would have been unheard of for Hasbro. Not only that, but all of the joints are pinless. The silver paint on the gauntlets and belt is nice and shiny and really pops. And if I'm honest, it's not the first time that Shocker's lines haven't been painted in. Another thing I like is how the diamonds line up when you pose them. Even so, as much as I like this, I look at it and it just feels unfinished. Similar to when they sculpt the web lines on Spider-Man but don't paint those in. It's an obvious cost-cutting measure that makes the figure look cheap. That said, this figure's a 100% new sculpt, so it was anything but cheap. Even so, for presentation, I'm giving Shocker half a point. Moving on to posability, and Shocker's head's on a ball joint and a disc hinge. Up this much, all the way down, no amount to tilt, but all the way around. Swivel hinge shoulders raise up over 90 degrees. Watch out though, because it did chip. They're actually detents in the socket, so they click into place. Moving on down, he's got bicep swivel, pinless, double-jointed elbows, and forearm swivel. Shifting to his torso, and Shocker has an ab crunch, arches back that far, and hunches over that far. Swivel waist nicely concealed by his belt. Below the waist, he has ball-jointed hips. They kick out 90 degrees, and split this far. Moving on down the leg, he has thigh cut, pinless, double-jointed knees, boot cut, and ankles that hinge back, hinge forward, and pivot. For posability, I'm giving Shocker 1 whole point. Before we continue, if you like this video, do me a favor and give it a like. I put a lot of love into these videos, and your likes help more people to see them. Moving on to playability, and Shocker is preloaded with fists. That said, he also comes packaged with these open hands. Since he's an all-new sculpt, these hands are completely unique to him, and they peg on and off like so. He also comes packaged with these energy effects, which are not new, and in fact we have seen a bajillion times. Even so, the concentric rings do remind me of his power and are a pretty good fit. But playability is more than just accessories, it's also about how well your figure plays with others. For a Shocker comparison, here he is between a couple of the Toy Biz ones. This was the very first Shocker action figure ever made. This one always kind of reminded me of a waffle, but it did come with a special feature. You just wind him up. I got your Vibro unit right here. For a Spider-Man comparison, here he is in between Pizza Spidey and the Retro card. For a Retro card villain comparison, here he is with Sandman and Electro. For a Green Goblin comparison, here he is between Hasbro and Toy Biz. For a Venom comparison, here he is with the animated series Retro card and the Marvel Select. For a couple of other villains with sculpted on details that probably should have been painted in, here he is with Mysterio and Scorpion. Until I can get the new ones, here he is with an older Symbiote Spider-Man and Ben Riley. For a 7-inch scale comparison, here he is with the Spectacular Spider-Man. And of course, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. Between the alternate hands and energy effects, he pretty much has every accessory you'd want from the Shocker. Plus, he's a fabulous fit for your other lethal foes. For playability, I'm giving Shocker 1 whole point. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. I got Shocker off Target.com for $22.99. Considering that this is the same price as a regular Wave but doesn't include a Build-A-Figure, that does seem kinda steep. That said, he comes with every accessory I could want from a Shocker figure and really only suffers from lack of paint detail, which I think at this point I've pretty well beat to death. For price, I'm giving Shocker 1 whole point for a grand total of 4.5 out of 5. For more Spider-Man content, check out this video on the Gamerverse Miles Morales, or check out this video on one of my other favorite unsung Spider-Man villains, Shriek. In Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery, where does Shocker rank for you? I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.